Right around college, I started coming up with this idea for this story in my head. It was kind of an ambitious project, something that I knew was going to take a lot of my mental firepower, something that I was going to really have to chew on for a minute. And so I committed to that. I started creating notes, creating storyboards. I got super into doing research for different topics that I wanted to cover in the book. I started writing. I started trying to emulate my favorite authors. So for 5 years, I spent all this time pretty much stockpiling these ideas in my head. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write this book someday, but it's just not the right time right now. And at the end of those 5 years, I kind of looked around. I had sort of just been shuffling around notes that whole time and telling myself that I needed to research more. And I finally realized I don't think I'm ever going to get this book written. And it was kind of a scare for me because on the one hand, I did not feel ready. I didn't feel like I had done enough research. Truthfully, there would always be more research to do. But also, something scared me even more, which was the feeling that I would never, ever get around to writing this book. There's this like common piece of advice that if you have a goal, you shouldn't tell people about it because then you get the cheap dopamine of having told people about it. It tricks you into feeling like you actually have achieved this goal. But I tried to do something completely opposite. What I did instead was I went and told as many people as I could that I intended to have a 50,000 word rough draft written by the end of the month. That's not a lot of time. That's 30 days, 50,000 words. That's about 1,600 words a day. So that's a good hour to 2 hours of writing. But what I found was the embarrassment of having not completed it was enough to sort of push me forward. But that wasn't all. What I also found was that the people who I had chosen as accountability partners didn't so much care if I completed the book. Really, I was the only person who really was truly concerned about completing it. And so after about the first week, no one asked me about it. No one checked up on it. And hey, I mean, everybody's got different stuff going on. You can't expect people to be as excited or, focused on your goals as you are. I looked over at my coworker, who I sit across from every single day, and I said, hey, I have this book that I'm wanting to get written. I have this specific word count. If at the end of this month I don't have a 50,000 word rough draft, then I owe you $1,000. I came home to my then girlfriend at the time, told her about this, and she was kind of shocked and not so happy that I would bet $1,000 like that. I'm not a gambler. I'm not a betting man. I had no intention of losing the bet. I mean, it really was just this extra push to get me to do the thing. And I wanted to set the number high. I wanted it to be right around $1,000 because I knew that if it was a number that would really hurt, then I would actually get the thing done. And also, it gave him some incentive. It gave him some interest to keep checking up with me about it. Now I realize he could have just said nothing about the bet, hoped that I would forget about it, and then at the end of the month come to collect. But we shook hands on it, and he was a good sport about it. He kind of like would, chide me, push me, and at the end of that month, I had written a book which for 5 years I promised myself that I would write. For 5 years I had this goal, never really pursued it, always put it off, and I felt like it was my life purpose. And all it took was me setting some really high stakes for not getting it done. So today I want to talk about the concept of just setting higher stakes for whatever your creative project is. Chances are you're some sort of creative, you're working in some creative field, and one thing that is amazing about working in creative fields is you have a ton of freedom. And one thing that really sucks about working in creative fields is you have a ton of freedom. And so a lot of times people don't really understand the work you do, and you don't really have a boss. If you're an entrepreneur or if you're an artist or something like that, you don't have a boss standing over you telling you, you need to get this done today. You need to get this done by the end of the week. You need to get this done by the end of the quarter. You have to learn how to be your own boss. We're terrible about being our own bosses. We are constantly letting ourselves off the hook. So lately I've been using this system to pretty much get done everything that I want to get done. And it's really simple. Outline a creative project that you can get done within the next month to 3 months. Set a deadline, make it public, and then you create some sort of hefty monetary incentive for you to complete it. It doesn't have to be monetary. You can say, hey, if I don't get this done by the end of the week, I have to jump into an ice cold pond at below freezing. I don't know, whatever. Just something that you really don't want to do. And then what you have to do is you have to tell enough people about it where you're constantly going to be reminded of it. You have to make it really hurt to cheat yourself out of whatever you're trying to accomplish. Since doing this, I've been able to go and get my drone license way faster than I would have otherwise. I've been able to write the rough draft of a book that I've been wanting to write for literally 5 years. I have been able to write weekly newsletters with my brother. Me and my brother did a variation of this bet where I bet him that every single Sunday I would have a newsletter written and sent out to email subscribers, and then he would have a song written. And right now we're sitting at like 10 weeks, none of them missed, super consistent. And at this point it's, it's easy. The newsletter is easy. It's not even difficult to get that out on a Sunday. It's just habit. So this can also work with big projects that you want to do over the course of a month or 3 months, or it can even be sort of a thing where it's like a weekly thing, some sort of habit that you want to put into effect. But the main point of it is that there has to be a deadline. There has to be some sort of stakes to it, and they've got to be pretty hefty. There's got to be some accountability with friends or family or whoever, and it has to be measurable. Instead of saying, I'm going to have the book finished by the end of a month, I said, I'm going to have this number of words, right? It has to be measurable. It has to be something that you can say, I definitely hit that, or I definitely completed that. Since I've tried this out with friends, they really like it. They really enjoy it. Like I said, my brother, he's started writing more songs than he ever has. I have another buddy who wanted to start a photography portfolio, and he's been doing that. I also have another buddy who wanted to make his own documentary shot on Super 8, and he's been doing that. Right now I'm in the middle of one, started with my friend, where I promised that I would have an additional 12 hours of YouTube content posted by September 6th. So watch out for that. And also, unsubscribe if I don't do that. See, there I go, setting stakes for what I'm doing. Coming up, me and my brother are going to be piggybacking off of the success of this challenge he's doing right now, where we're going to use some of the songs that he's written over the course of these past couple weeks, and we're going to try to write a full album and get that released for our band, I think somewhere around October. The reason we chose October is because we have a show coming up in October 19th, 12th Street Bar. We wanted to have a full set ready. We wanted to have some fresh new songs, and we wanted to be able to tell people, hey, go check us out on Spotify, Apple, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This system, it works. Set a deadline, set a measurable goal, get some accountability from friends, set some stakes that would actually really, really, really hurt. Make it something you really don't want to do. I really don't want to give $1,000 away for no reason. And a lot of people will say, well, that seems ridiculous. Why would you ever put that much money on the line? Blah, blah, blah. You got to realize, you got to start thinking about your goals and your purpose in a different way. I kind of think about it this way. Losing $1,000 would really, really suck, but it would suck a whole lot worse to have this goal in mind, or this dream or this vision for my life, something that I feel like is part of my purpose. And at the time, writing that book really did feel like my purpose, and still does. I hope to publish it here soon. But to me, cheating myself out of that higher purpose seemed like a far greater loss, a far greater risk than losing $1,000. And I think this is part of where procrastination comes from. I think procrastination is just, I have this one main important thing that I need to be doing. It's more important than anything else, but I'm going to find 3 other little things that I can busy myself with. That way I never really have to get around to it. Another thing is, I think for whatever reason, we try to cheat ourselves out of our potential, because the idea is that if I never meet my potential, I could always say, well, I wasn't really trying. You know, if I really applied myself, I could probably hit that goal. Let's say I go and I actually do hit that goal. There's a question of what now? You know, I think people don't like uncertainty. You know, a lot of times we're afraid to actually achieve what we want to do. A lot of times we're afraid to achieve our dream because it's like, well, what do I do now? I think the same way that a splash of cold water is enough to wake a person up in the morning, setting stakes for your creative endeavors, setting stakes for your goals in life, I think it's something that will reinvigorate your passion for life. My hope is that you watch this video and you say, actually, yeah, there is this one thing that I've been wanting to do for the past however many years, and I've been putting it off because it feels like too big of a project. But now I feel like I actually kind of see a way forward, how I actually could get that done. If that's you, comment down below what you're wanting to do, when you plan to have it done by, say a month, 3 months from now. You don't want to go too far out. Who you're going to be telling about your project, what the stakes are going to be. I like monetary stakes. I feel like those are always just the simplest and they just make the most sense. And then also how to measure if your project or your goal is actually accomplished. Might be a word count, might be a minute count. Anyways, guys, if you want to hear more from me, go ahead and sign up at the free newsletter link in the description. And yeah, have a nice day.